know what I mean? Like they are tradition. They're a tradition school. You know what I mean? Like they played the same way. They had the same type of team. They recruited from the same places. So their teams were mostly white. You know what I mean? Mostly guys from, Pennsylvania, Ohio, you know what I'm saying? Like that area, guys that came from the country, corn-fed, strong, all that kind of stuff. My class, not that they had every now and again, they had guys that were just super athletes, guys like, your LeVar Arringtons, your Michael Robinsons, guys of that like Courtney Brown, all of those guys, just physical freaks. But that wouldn't be the majority of the guys that they recruited. It would be like one guy in that class that was from an inner city neighborhood that had that kind of background, all that kind of stuff. My class was like the first class Penn State ever recruited where pretty much all of us was from the trenches. You know what I mean? You had a couple kids, you had probably like 5 guys out of like 20 that were like your typical Penn State recruit, and most of us were from the hood, and most of us like had came up by living by a certain code. And that experiment worked out phenomenally for Penn State, because if you look, we're probably the most decorated group of guys ever to come through there. The first round draft picks, the NFL players, period, from my classes. I think we might measure up against any class that's ever came through Penn State. But
I believe that.
But that was a culture shock for them and myself included. It wasn't like just because I had gone to school in the county. Like when you walk into a stadium class with 1,000 people in it and you're looking around for another black face and you might see like 1 or 2, you know what I'm saying? And you're walking around a campus of just thousands and a sea of people, and you see a black face and you're looking and you're kind of sizing them up like, yo, is this fam? Is this somebody that, shares my and they got Birkenstocks and, you know what I mean? Like a sweater vest. And you're like, nah, dog. Like,
yeah, he's from the other side of the track.
Yeah. But it was a blessing in disguise as well, because we kind of incubated ourselves amongst each other. And, our life experiences, we really got to know each other based on what we had gone through and all that kind of stuff to get to that point. And in spite of how close we all were, it was a bunch of them that still didn't make it. Some of the most talented ones in that class you never heard of. You know what I'm saying? For different reasons. You know what I mean? And some of the people in that class made it to the NFL, but they did it at another school because certain things happened. And you know what I mean? Like, but it was a culture shock, but I'm so grateful for it because it taught me so much. Dealing with Joe every day, you know what I mean? Like dealing with the media up there, dealing with.
Speak on that. How was that? That's because that's a lot of people from the outside view. You gotta remember this era. A lot of people haven't been to Penn State. This is big time college football, Big Ten college football. Joe Paterno, one of the father figures of coaching in college football. Talk about that just a little bit. What was that like for you?
It was amazing, man. Like, it was amazing. It was trying. It was a test every single day. But I say amazing because even the negative things that happened there were a learning experience for me. Me and Joe didn't have like a great relationship. If anything, we had a love-hate relationship with each other. You know what I mean? He loved what I could do on the field. He hated just about everything about my mentality off of the field because I was such a rebel. You know what I mean?
Hold on. You just hit me. You hit my soul when you said that. What do you mean by that, bro? Because that's deep.
If I would have been one of those guys that would just like shut the hell up and just do what you're told, you know what I mean? Like, I would have been like his greatest player ever. You know what I'm saying? Like if I'd have been like, that your typical Penn State guy, but that wasn't me. It just wasn't. Like I speak up, I push back, I do what I want in certain areas. Like I'll give a certain example. Like guys on the team before me, there was one guy that did it before me, but guys on the team before me hadn't. And the guy that did it was about not a decade, but almost a decade before me, Spice Adams, who's a pretty
yeah.
big figure now
Mhm.
on the spot. But we were the first two people to ever pledge a fraternity while being on the football team.
Okay.
And not just that any fraternity, like a historically black fraternity, like, you know, Spice is an Omega, I'm a Kappa. So Joe had a strict rule about that. But Joe is in Skull and Bones, or was, you know, God rest the dead. But Joe is in the oldest living fraternity in America that all of the presidents and all of, you know what I'm saying? Like the real life secret society shit that we talk about. Like Joe is a member of that organization. So like the hypocrisy of him saying that his players couldn't do it, but you were that guy when you were at that age. And I just wanted to, even though I was going to Penn State, I was trying to have as much of the college experience that I could have, you know, and I was trying to surround myself with as much of the black culture that was there for me to surround myself with. So, you know, we had a very low number of black people on campus, but you know, the campus life that we did have amongst the small community that we had was robust. And I told myself when I got there, like, I'm not gonna go here for 4 years and leave, and regardless of what happens with my career, look back at my time in college and say I wish I had